Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look at another rank 1 in the world team. Usually I get those teams from Twitter where the people who hit rank 1 in the world send those teams either to me or in general post it openly to everyone, which is kinda nice to see as well. But today was a little bit different. Today I woke up to an email from the player who hit rank 1 in the world, showcasing me the team and asking me if I want to take a look at that. And so today we're gonna take a look at the team, and I have to say, this team was very interesting. I'm not gonna spoil yet what I think about the team, but in general we can take a look at the Pokemon that we have here. We're going to have the Shadow Claw variant of the Alolan Sandslash. I think it was Shadow Claw, maybe I was wrong with that, but I think it was Shadow Claw variant of the Alolan Sandslash. Of course the Shadow Alolan Sandslash, but yeah, otherwise we're going to have the Azumarill and we're going to have the Lantern. They said basically, unless you encounter a fighting type Pokemon in the lead, you kinda want to swap into your Azumarill as your safe swap, and yeah, of course if you have a fighter you either want to go into the Lantern. Not too sure if I'm always going to do this here in this video, but definitely going to be kind of the way you want to play it. Here we're going to have the Lantern against the Poliwrath and the opponent decides to forfeit. Next opponent, another regional winner here actually, which is kind of interesting. We're going to see the Cresselia as well as the swap into the Feraligatr, which is usually a great one for me. I kind of misplay this a little bit. Show went for the Thunderbolt here instead of the Surf. They're going to go for the CMP type, which is pretty smart by them. But we can still go for the Surf here, which is going to allow us to get some damage onto them. We can go for the full farm down, hopefully at least. As the opponent decides to go for the Hydro Cannon, we can still at least get some energy. And as you can see, we can still get some damage onto the opponent's Cresselia. And so while they're going to get a ton of energy, it's still going to be fine. Our lead is going to be able to resist every move of the Cresselia. And we can still even get off another Surf. And so the damage output we just did here with the Lantern is kind of wild. We got like one Pokemon completely down and the Cresselia into the low health range as well. They go for the Moonblast, which is not going to do that much damage. Actually, Future Sight can be a little bit scary. I think they can two-shot you with a Future Sight if you're Shadow, so that's definitely something you have to be a little bit careful about. Here, they're gonna go for another Moonblast. We try to go for the full farm down, but they swap out into a Gligar, of course, at this point, we know we're going to be able to easily win this game. We can just go for an Ice Punch, knock them out, farm them down, and win this game. Not too sure why you go for a charge move here, but it's going to be okay for us because we can even no shield and just flex on them. Next opponent, we're going to have a Bastion in the lead. And here is something that I have to say as well. I would have played this game way differently if I don't know, like if I had a little bit more games with this team, I would say. Because what you see here is we're going to see the Bastion against us. And it's going to be an okay matchup for you. Like usually you're going to be able to win this. But with Bastion, like 99% of the time, you're going to encounter something like a Victory Bell in the back. So you should kind of leave here already with the energy stored here a little bit. We're going to try to do this exactly as well. But they swap out into a Trevenant. And I was like, maybe they're not running the Victory Bell. Maybe they're running the line that I played before as well with Bastion, Annihilape, as well as the Trevenant. And this would be way better for us, but I'm not too sure if this is going to be the case here. They're going to go for the Seed Bomb, which is a little bit annoying, but what I did not know as well here is that the opponent is going to be in a range here, of course, where you can farm them down, but the opponent's Bastion was also in a range already where we could farm them down, and easily could have farmed them down. So going for this drill run is completely silly. I could have just used the shield and farmed them down, because if they had actually a fighter in the back, they would have went into the fighter right now and not into their Bastion. And so they actually have the Victory Bell in the back, which is really annoying for us, as we now can still try to go for a Thunderbolt. But this game, again, if you just save your Alolan Sandslash a little bit more, which you should always do basically if you encounter the Bastion in the lead, you would have been fine here. So this was my fault, not the team's fault. I just didn't play it perfectly fine, and so we can move on to the next opponent. Very decent lead for us, but I kind of misplay this one here as well, I would say. The thing is with the Lantern with this Dewgong matchup is that Dewgong can actually win this in the one-shield scenario, I think, if they get off a bait first, basically. If they're gonna go for like a drill run and then go for a bait, and they usually just shield the Thunderbolt. I didn't want to be in this scenario, and so I kind of wanted to play it a little bit differently. I'm fine losing one shield because we have the energy on our own Pokemon, and also I know the Thunderbolt is going to be able to do still significant damage against the Trevenant, and so I'm totally okay with that. As you can see here, another Thunderbolt is going to get them close to the KO range, but they're gonna still go for a charge move themselves, which is fine for me. I let this move go through, so they're going to be at a little bit less energy, and I can go for an Ice Punch, which will force a shield from the opponent. but they can force one back with the Shadow Ball, which is going to come through against us, and of course we can have to keep our Sandlash alive. In comes most likely the best possible Pokemon that we could imagine here. It's going to be the Poliwrath. Poliwrath moveset gets completely walled by Azumarill, which doesn't make this matchup as clear still, because while we are a Water and Fairy type Pokemon resisting everything from the opponent, our Poliwrath is not going to be able to knock them out here. They still have a shield left, and so I have to play a little bit around here. And so I'm mostly going to try to overfarm a little bit so I can try to reach another Ice Beam later on. And that's what we're exactly going to do here. We're going to go up to 99 energy, which is our only real play. But they decide to go for a Dynamic Punch. I would imagine they want to go for a Shield here, but they decide to let this move go through. We can swap out. We can go basically for the full farm at this point, and we can just win the game like this. Next opponent, Dragonair. Shadow Dragonair. It's a great matchup, but it's kind of unfortunate at the same time, because the thing is here, actually overfarmed by a little bit too much. I didn't want them to catch the move, but you're going to win this as a Alolan Sandlash, like no matter what, but you're going to be very, very low with it, and this is kind of an ABB style line, and you still have your Fairy type in the back, which would be very great against the Dragonair, so I would like to have my Azumarill aligned here, but I'm still going to stay in because losing Switch is not worth it here. I just decided to use a shield, just align myself, and I think it's going to be a better time for me. And as you can see here, they're going to swap out into a Skarmory, allowing us to go into our own Lantern, which is amazing, because here they make another kind of mistake, I would even say. They decide to go straight for the Brave Bird, which will allow us to just get more damage onto them. I can go for a Surf, and now basically I'm getting closer to a Thunderbolt, which would knock out the opponent's Dragonair as well, but they swap into their own Lantern, showcasing what they have in the back. And with this information, we can just play a little bit around it here. We can go for a Thunderbolt, get them low, and we kind of get them low enough even for a Play Rough with all the spark damage coming in. We still have our Sandlash alive as well. A Drill Run most likely would knock them out from this range as well. We have a Drill Run stored, they're going to swap out, but again, I feel like I'm in a very solid spot anyway, and so I decided to overfarm here against the opponent, get them a little bit lower to definitely put them into Play Rough range. And what we just need here is actually just an Ice Beam. It doesn't knock them out, but it's gonna put them into Ice Punch range. And basically at this point, that's all I really want, and so I decided to go for the Ice Beam instead of the Play Rough, because Play Rough needs one more fast move and it would be a little bit more scary. But like this, we can definitely knock them out. I was thinking that I might be able to go for a Drill Run as well, but we're a little bit too low in terms of our health. And so we can knock them out with one Ice Punch out of our Alolan Sandlash, and we can move on to the next opponent. Next opponent coming through, another Cresselia, another great lead for us. They decide to swap out immediately into Whiscash. I usually decide to stay in and go for an Ice Punch just to chip them a little bit, or get a shield here, which is also kind of great. And then we can swap into the Azumarill, which is going to have a very decent matchup, as we can just resist, or like not resist, but we can, I guess we resist Scald, which is kind of fine, but we can just take those Mud Bombs pretty easily. What do I think about this team? That's kind of something that I want to answer here as well. This was interestingly enough, like I thought this team would not be great. There were like some Pokemon that I was really scared about, for example Mudboys. I did not encounter a single Mudboy in the lead, which was really helpful for me, and like most of them were Say-Sops, which was also really helpful for me. But what I have to say, this team is actually really, really great. I would recommend you to try this one out. I feel like it's a great team to use right now in the current meta. Here, by the way, I tried to use a shield just in case they have Future Sight, but they decided to go for the Grass Knot instead. You're gonna see the Future Sight damage most likely next anyway. But yeah, this team, I would highly recommend it to you. Had a great run with it. I think I went like something like 12-3 with this team, which was kind of mad. So like, this was a great team to use. Really would recommend you to try it out. Here we can go for the full farm down. We don't have all the battles in here. I had like 40 minutes of battles, and usually around like, I don't know, like half of this coming into the video, like a little bit more than half of this, but yeah, it is what it is. Here we're going to be able to go ahead and go for an Ice Punch. Great team to use though, like literally one of the best I have played so far in the Open Great League. We can try to chip them a little bit, and I don't really want to lose my Switch advantage here. I know that they still have a move stored on their Whiscash most likely, but I still should be able to survive a Mud Bomb and a Brave Bird, I feel like, because we're kind of bulky, and they decided to swap out perfectly here, which I'm totally fine with. I think we still survive, and we do survive with just a few HP left. We can go for the Play Rough, and with this, the opponent is also already in range for one bubble to knock out the Skarmory, and we can move on to the next opponent. The matchup against Lickitung can be a little bit of a trickier one, but you can win this in some scenarios with your Alolan Sandslash. The thing is, for this matchup here, is that you kind of want to go ahead and go for one Drill Run, and I think then you can go for 2 Ice Punches, but it really depends on what the opponent is going to have in terms of the Lickitung. There are some Lickitung spreads that can't survive 2 Ice Punches. There are others that cannot survive 2 Ice Punches. So it's not a guaranteed knockout here. And maybe even my respread could be better for these Sandlash. I would have better ones to build. But yeah, basically 2 Ice Punches, 1 Dry Run is the only thing that you're going to get to. And here we were able to realign. I know that there was a game which might not be in there, maybe still is going to be in like the last 2 battles of this video as well, where I was not able to realign, where the opponent was able to survive a drill run and 2 Ice Punches. So like it's a close matchup for sure, it's a very, very close matchup and you kind of want to be careful there. But here we were able to align, which is going to be great because now the opponent's Gligar is going to meet our Azumarill. We can take a charge move here, we can force them to go down from 1 Ice Beam most likely as well, which is going to be amazing. I don't think they're going to use a shield here. We're going to see what they have in the back. It is going to be the Annihilape. And I kind of just need to get 1 Ice Beam off because then we're going to put them into range where Spark most likely does the job anyway. And so here we see that they're going to get the shield. We can get them a little bit lower with a bubble. I just wait for them to throw that charge move. I let this move go through, swap out, go for 1 Thunderbolt and win the game. That's basically my plan here. They didn't get the boost, which is important for us. We let the first move go through, like no matter what it's going to be, because like a boost can be a little bit tricky. And they actually get a boost, but at this point I think they don't get to another Shadow Ball afterwards. I think I still survive Night Sash. And so this next move is going to come through. The Thunderbolt is going to take the knockout and we can move on to the next opponent. Moving on, we're going to have a Mantine in the lead. Fairly decent lead to be fair, and they swap out immediately into a Whiscash. Again, you want to stay in, go for an Ice Punch, just chip them a little bit, just to make the matchup for the Azumarill a little bit easier, especially in this case, because we have the Lantern in the back, and Lantern means that we can basically completely destroy the opponent's Mantine with it, which is going to be great. Issue here is that the opponent is very likely to be able to align themselves against our Azumarill here with their Mantine, which is going to be a little bit of a trickier matchup, but at this point, you can kind of read the team com already. Basically, with a Mantine in the lead, you need something that really beats something like a Bastion. And we have 1 Pokemon here already, but another Pokemon would be most likely a fighting type. And so what you're going to see me doing here as well is I still stay in, I'm still going to go for a play rough just for a little bit, but I'm going to, actually the opponent lags a little bit, which is totally fine for us, but we can just go for a play rough here anyway. And I'm going to swap out now next, because like the worst thing that they're going to have in the back is another Mud Boy, which they don't. They have a fighter as expected in the back, and so I can just go for a Surf. The Surf is just going to get them low enough already that the False Move pressure is just going to chunk away at their health, like both from this Pokemon, but also from my other Pokemon they still have left. And so here they decide to forfeit and we can move on to the final battle of today. This might actually be the Lickitung battle that I was talking about earlier on, which is kind of funny. So most likely you're going to see a little bit of a different outcome here. I was not really looking through the battles. I just cut off when it was like around 15 minutes in terms of the time, or like 40 minutes in terms of the time of the video. So I don't know what really is going to happen here. We're going to see that the opponent goes for the Body Slam, which is kind of smart. I think this matchup is different, by the way, if the opponent goes for a Power Whip first. Like if they only going to go for Body Slam, it's better for you than if they go for the Power Whip and then for a Body Slam, because then you're going to go down a little bit easier. And this is exactly what's actually going to happen here. But we can still get the move off, which is kind of funny. And so this is going to be not enough to knock them out. As said before, in this kind of showcases that the IVs of the Lickitung really matter for this matchup. In comes an Annihilape, so that means that the opponent is clearly weak against me in the back here as well, against my Azumarill. I hope that they're weak to water, but I'm not too sure about it yet. But based on the lead that we just encountered, they could have something like maybe a Bastion in the back or whatever. I'm not too sure about it, but here we're going to be able to go for an Ice Beam against the opponent. I mean, Bastion, I mean, they would be double weak to fighting, I guess. I know what they could have in the back. Honestly, it could be another Lantern, but then they would have swapped out into this Pokemon against my Azumarill. Like, I don't know. We will find out most likely what they're going to have in the back. As they can go for an Ice Beam, this is not going to knock them out, but going to get them insanely low. And we will see that they're going to have in the back here. I don't know. We will never know. The opponent didn't show me. So, hope you still enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.